And welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel. Welcome back to the Arsenal Transfer Room Live. It is a Wednesday. I think it's a Wednesday evening. I hope you're all doing well. There is plenty to talk about. We're talking about outgoings. We're talking about Eze. We're talking about some of the injuries. Arteta had a press conference today talking about Victor Gyökeres. We've seen him training for the first time. A couple of clips from that training session that have got people excited, of course, because it's a new striker. And there's loads of you here, which we absolutely love to see. Ryan Henderson, Saliba, Carter, Joe Franklin, Big John, Umer, Vivi, Vlad. Good to see you. Leeds Gunner, Christo. Welcome. Josh is here. Dominic Riego, Sam Shapiro. You'll love to see it. A minute late, such a shame. It's been busy. Pekka's no longer a Green Gang member. R.I.P. Pekka. R.I.P. Tom, thank you very, very much for the 79p super chat with no chat. Just 79p, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you very much, Tom. Yeah, apologies for being a minute late. I was making a video about a United fan, Saeed, who had a video that has aged hilariously because he was a few weeks ago mocking Arsenal because it sounded like Gyökeres might move to Man United and Sesko might move to Arsenal. He was calling him Benjamin Tesco, and he was laughing at the fact that Arsenal weren't getting Victor Gyökeres. Of course, a few weeks later, it's well, that's upside down. So, and that could be pretty interesting. We're hearing that they're advancing on Benjamin Sesko today. Come first game of the season, we could see Victor Gyökeres up against Benjamin Sesko, perhaps on alternative teams to what we might have expected, which is kind of crazy. Nid says, can I help with something? I can, Nid. I can. Well, I can try. No guarantees. Rory, you need to stream all the time because most of the other Arsenal streamers are given to hysterics, and I need someone with a calm head. Look, everyone's got their own way of doing it, and one stream a day is enough. I don't think you need more than a stream a day of me, to be honest with you. We will be live tomorrow. Quick plug. Actually, let's plug everything, get it out of the way. Please like. If you're here right now and you haven't already done so, please click the like button. Please subscribe. If you've not already, please click the subscribe button. We're on the way to 23,000 subscribers. Tomorrow, we are going to go live on Big Up for the watch along. 12:15. The link down in the description will take you to my Big Up profile. If you've not made an account there before, it is the future of football watch-alongs, so we will be there. Is that everything I needed to say? I think so. Alco, I appreciate that. There you go. Nid's put the link in the chat as well. Who was it that got baited on Instagram today? That was me. Well done, Nid. You rage baited me in my own Instagram comments. I hope you're happy. Well done. Appreciated the Liverpool Academy video today. I like that you always talk rationally about other teams, not always negative. I really try to say it as I see it. What do you think of the Source 2 SAFC? I don't know. It's been an interesting one with him because he was jumping the gun on certain things, like I think the Madueke announcement. He kept saying that was coming when it wasn't. But I don't know. To be honest, I only really take note of Hand of Arsenal. Who do you think will start against Spurs? Raya, White, Saliba, Kivior, Miles Lewis-Skelly. I think we might, for the first time, see Zubimendi, Rice, Erdegaard, and then Saka, Havertz, Martinelli. I think we'll see. Well, we'll talk about Victor Gyökeres in a second. Actually, what's the shirts controversy Harry Symeou was talking about? I'm not sure. What is the shirts controversy? I don't know. I haven't seen that. Third kit's dropping Sunday. Did you see that? I did see that, yeah. We will be there. We will be ordering the third shirt on Sunday. The Rory Jennings stuff. Oh, yeah. I saw the Rory Jennings stuff. Why? What did Harry say? What did Harry say about it? I mean, it was just prime rage bait from Rory. It was prime rage bait. You can't get wound up by that stuff anymore. Why is Big Up the future? Because it's a platform literally designed and being designed for watch-alongs. So unlike YouTube, where we have to like make YouTube work for us in the sense of doing the watch-along, Big Up is literally building it for football watch-alongs. And like everything that they do, they speak to us about how to build the best possible platform to do it. So that's why. Latte Firm is in the building. FK, you're an absolute legend. I appreciate you. Always on later than me. So if you're ever sat there in the evening, those of you that appreciate the more rational, calm, collected conversations, Latte Firm, I think is live at 8 tonight, but correct me if I am wrong, FK. But yeah, always worth a watch. Always worth a watch. He called him a low-life scut. Well, he didn't say that. I'm not even reading that out. He didn't say that. I know for a fact Harry would not have said that. That's crazy. Are Arsenal paying 30 million in the first payment for Eze? We don't know. I would assume not, based on the fact that we're still negotiating. Otherwise, if we were willing to pay that, that would probably have already gone through. The latest on Eze is this. So Bobby Manzi, who I think is closer to Crystal Palace on this side of things as a journalist, said Palace's stance on Eze has not changed. To activate his time-sensitive release clause, clubs are required to pay a significant chunk of the £67.5 million fee up front. Palace unwilling to budge as it stands. So that is fair. I think people complaining about this, by the way, like Crystal Palace have just qualified for Europe for the first time. Eze is, other than Wharton, their most valuable sellable asset. They have no reason to do us any favors by letting us pay in small installments. So I have no expectation for them to really come down from that. They are a very tough negotiating club. They're fair, but they're tough. And I think that's reasonable. iHeats, thank you very, very much for gifting a membership. Someone has just become a member, and it looks like it was Fry Guy. There you go, Fry Guy. Welcome to the Rory Talks Football YouTube membership club. I appreciate that, iHeats. Absolute legend. Absolute legend. So that's what Bobby Manzi said. That came slightly after Hand of Arsenal gave an update today. He said the release clause does have an expiry date, and that expiry date comes into effect before deadline day. But I'm not sure that changes the value that Palace have placed on Eze. So, yeah, whatever that... Well, the clause that's 67.5 million, there's... and it doesn't say when it is, but there is an expiry date to that if you want to get it done. He said Arsenal and Palace have engaged in talks. Multiple sources have confirmed. As of today, Palace are looking for around £30 million as the first payment for any agreed deal. Personal terms are not an issue, but there has been no further advancement as of today. Latte Firm says 16th of August is when that deadline is. So effectively, the opening day of the season, or the day after it. Pretty sure the opening day of the season is Friday the 15th. So thank you very much for that, FK. There you go. So we've got until the start of the season. Beyond that, they would probably still accept the value of the release clause, I would imagine. But yeah, that's what we're negotiating on. No further advancement. And some people are getting angry about it. But, you know, we've spent a lot of money already this window. As it stands, we've not sold anyone, which we definitely need to do. And so I can understand. And Crystal Palace still have this ongoing thing with UEFA. So I don't think they're in a position to negotiate much. So I think we've all just got to calm down with it. Still seeing various things that whether or not this does or doesn't link to the left winger or a left wing signing. Time will tell on that. But yeah. Adrian, thank you very, very much for the 50 money. If we somehow sell Jesus, who's on 265 grand a week, doesn't that massively open the door for Rodrygo if his wages are the problem? Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, getting Jesus off the books would be huge. I think if you look at, like, Zinchenko, Fabio Vieira, players like that, getting them off the books probably opens up the door for Eze's wages. Getting a Jesus off the books, yeah, big time. But we'll wait and see if we get Jesus off the books. I've heard again today clubs in Europe are interested in him as well. So there's clearly a feeling that there's maybe some value there in Jesus, which I find surprising given his injuries. But yeah, if we could get him off the books, happy days. Number 8, And number 7 is number 56. It's destined to be greatness. Lord Witherfang, thank you very, very much for the £2. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure. Am I missing something here, chat? What does that mean? Saka and Ødegaard? I don't know. But thank you very much for the £2. Latte Firm, my goat, consistent, unlike a certain someone. And the crazy thing is, I have far less excuses to be consistent than Latte Firm. I have so few excuses in comparison. It's just the way it is. It is just the way it is. Okay, Downman 56. There you go. There you go. Now I've got you. Downman 56, Saka and Ødegaard 7 and 8. I've got you. Hey, it makes sense. It makes sense. So that's where we're at with Eze. That is where we're at with Eze. And yeah, like I said, like getting angry that, you know, we have no right to pay teams in installments. If that's not how they want to receive the money, the only way to really do it is to offer more, which is what we did with Zubimendi, right? We offered over the release clause so that we could pay it in installments. But there's no reason at the moment for Palace to do that for us. No reason at all. Can we have a percentage likelihood that we get Rodrygo or Eze if we sell Trossard? If we sell Trossard, I think Rodrygo's still probably at about 5% because it's so expensive. If it's Eze and we sell Trossard, I think at that point you're talking like 90% unless we pivoted. Because if we sell Trossard, we 100% need to go into the market for another attacking player. So yeah. But I would say it's far more likely Eze than Rodrygo, personally. Thank you for the 50 money. I would love Arteta to try and be more offensive, to try more of an offensive midfield with the number 8 as the LCM. With Ødegaard as the left centre mid. I mean, possibly. I think there are probably certain games where you could get away with that. I think we said this before, even if you brought in Eze, right? I think there would be certain games where Eze, Ødegaard, I'd probably then go Rice as the 6, could work. Now, depending on how important Zubimendi comes for us and actually how Zubimendi allows us to break teams down, time will tell. But for those sorts of games, like, I'm trying to think of an example. I think I said Southampton last time. You know, a game against a team that doesn't have much of a midfield that are going to sit back, I think you can do it. For the tougher games, for the bigger games, I think you're better off with Zubimendi and Rice. I'm a big fan of Rice as the left 8. But yeah, for low blocks, for sure. And thank you again for the 50 money. Rory, should I order the away kit with Downman number 56 and risk him changing his number? I mean, to be fair, he will change his number. There is no doubt he will change his number at some point. But at that point, you could have like his old number. That almost becomes like more sought after. Not sought after, you'd never sell it, but you know what I mean? Becomes a bit more iconic if you've got his original number. Like if someone's got Saka 77, I think that's pretty cool. Sammy Mockbell news. Arsenal related, or am I just... this better be Arsenal related. Sammy Mockbell has said how Crystal Palace's summer is developing. Eze and Arsenal state of play. I need to wait for someone to aggregate it because it's within an article. Has someone aggregated that yet? Opinions on the Eze news? Well, there's various bits of Eze news. By the way, apparently Leipzig have been offered the chance to include a player in the Sesko deal. Højlund is considered a dream target. What are they doing? What are they doing? You're telling me? Yeah, Osaka 87. Yeah. You're telling me Leipzig wouldn't negotiate with us for Sesko, but they're willing to take Rasmus bloody Højlund in a deal for him? It's ridiculous. They've actually, honestly, like, I kind of don't feel sorry for Sesko because I never felt like he pushed for the move. But equally, his agent and Leipzig have really cost him what would have been his dream move. Are you concerned that Gabriel hasn't been in full training this whole preseason? Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that. But first, we're going to talk about Zinchenko to Fulham. This came out from Ben Jacobs today. Fulham have made an approach to sign Alexander Zinchenko alongside Reece Nelson. Arsenal are open to offers of around £15 million for the Ukrainian, with Fulham now considering making a formal bid after talks began with the players' camp in early June. While talks for Zinchenko are ongoing, a new left-back is not considered to be a priority for Fulham at the moment, but it could become so if current first-choice star Anthony Robinson departs. Now, like, that part for me doesn't make much sense. If they wanted to bring in Zinchenko as depth for Anthony Robinson and as someone that could play in midfield and as someone that's got, a wealth of Premier League experience, is a bit of a leader in the dressing room, all of those things would make sense. To bring him in as a replacement for Anthony Robinson would be crazy, in my opinion. That's such a difference going from Robinson to Zinchenko. For me, if they were to lose Anthony Robinson, they would be better off looking for someone that is more similar. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. But Fulham is a bit like our Strasbourg. I think we actually, by the way, whole different conversation that we won't start now. I do genuinely think if we don't go down the route of multi-club model, we're going to get left behind. You look at the way it's going now. Liverpool are looking at buying, or Liverpool's owners are looking at buying Getafe in Spain. Obviously, City's we know about, Chelsea's we know about. I do think we're going to end up left behind if we don't do that. But that's a different conversation. Lord Witherfang, thank you very, very much for the £5 super chat. Says, out of the two, I think we should sell Gabby. If selling both gets Rodrygo, I think we should do it. Trossard is the best attacking 12th man in the league. Yeah, I don't disagree. If we sold Gabby, though, I'd want Rodrygo. If we sold Gabby, I'd want Rodrygo. I would sell both of them to get Rodrygo as well. I would do that. I think that it's just the level raiser that we need. It is. So I completely agree. And thank you very, very much for the £5 super chat. Someone said Eduardo Hain has indeed aggregated what Sammy Mockbell said. Aston Villa have made an inquiry to Porto for Samu Agahawa, formerly known as Samu Omorodion. Interesting. I think they were in for him last summer, weren't they? Here you go. So this was what Sammy Mockbell said. There is a feeling at Arsenal that Eze's best position is at 10, an area that Ødegaard and Nwaneri operate in. Eze can play on the left, and Arsenal may view the Palace forward as a multifunctional attacker rather than just a 10. Palace are aware of Arsenal's interest. The Gunners are understood to value Eze lower than his 68 million release clause and want to negotiate a deal beneath that. I would say to you that if that is the stance that Arsenal are taking, Eze will not be an Arsenal player. That's my feeling. James Bond, thank you very, very much for the $2 super chat. Rodrygo loan like Ødegaard, Ceballos and Baptista. Yeah, three very different ones. I'll take him. I would take him on loan. With an option to buy. But I don't know if Real Madrid will do that. It depends who else is in for him, in fairness. Maybe that becomes a crazy possibility. Based on that, what Sammy Mockbell has just said, if Arsenal try and negotiate or want to negotiate below the release clause, I don't think we'll end up with him. Palace don't do that. How many times do we see Palace, whether it was Gahey with Newcastle United, whether it was Elise eventually before he went to Bayern, Wilfried Zaha for the longest time? It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So, yeah, I think if we... And do you know why we'll want to negotiate below the 68 million? Because internally, all of the numbers people, the data people, they will see Eze's age, they will see no sell-on value, they will look at that fee, where he's not guaranteed a starting place in any specific position in the squad, and they'll say no. That is what will happen with Eze. So... do you think Eze could force it? He could, but I don't know if he would. And I don't think Palace would care. They're tough negotiators. I'm pretty sure Zaha tried pushing it at one point. Why can't KSE sell our women's team to KES? Listen, we're not about that. We're all about... well, actually... perfect timing. We're all about sustainability. Gunnerblog saying today, I kind of tagged it onto the end of the sales thing. Although Arsenal may not have to sell this window to comply with PSR, that doesn't mean that they don't want to sell. The club's owners want Arsenal to be self-sufficient and want to see them make use of player trading to maximise their resources, all with a view to sustainably reinvesting as much as possible back onto the pitch. Very difficult when you're competing with clubs that are not sustainable at all, and that aren't in any way, shape, or form trading to be sustainable or to be self-sufficient. So very different. You know, if you look at Chelsea, I mean, it's just constant cash injections. So look, it's tough. You know, I think they have backed Arteta to an extent, but to kick on, you know, you look at what Liverpool are doing. That's not within their self-sufficient model, what they're doing this summer. Nowhere near it. They're going to spend nearly £500 million if they get Alexander Isak. But they've gone for it. And that makes it difficult for us to compete, to be honest with you. Would you buy for 70 million, but in lower installments? Yeah, I mean, if that gets the job done, yeah, 100%. 100%. I have a question regarding installments. If we paid Zubimendi in installments, then why does the whole transfer fee get counted in the overall spending this season? Well, so it doesn't get counted in the overall spending on the books. It's just easier for, like, if you're comparing clubs, and because you're talking about the media, right? In the media, it will say it's a £65 million fee or whatever it was. It's just because it would be so difficult to compare transfer windows if you didn't do that. Like with Madueke, if we've got him on some crazy installments, which it sounds like we have, but he's 52 million. But you compare that to a team that just bought someone outright for 52 million. Like, you've still bought a 52 million pound player, if that makes sense. I think it's just easy. But on the books, the fee gets amortized, and even that, it gets really confusing because the fee will get amortized over the length of the contract. So say he's on a 5-year deal, the fee will be split over 5 years when it comes to, like, the books for PSR terms. But then the actual money that we pay, like in terms of actually moving money from Arsenal to Sociedad, that may happen over 3 years. I don't know the exact breakdown of the installments, but that may happen over 3 years. You know, with Declan Rice, I think it was over 2 years. The first installment was like 30 mil. It gets very confusing, basically. So that's why. Also, thanks to Mr. Marinakis for allowing Rory to stream today. Yeah, thank you. Thank you to Mr. Marinara. It's his birthday today, by the way. Happy birthday to Mr. Marinara. Meatball Marinara. That's what I call him. He's a chubby boy. How many goals do you think Victor is going to score? I've been asked this a lot. All comps, I'm going to say 25. 25 goals in all comps, if I'm being conservative. That is what I would say. I think they're looking at the Madueke deal and scoffing at Arsenal's under-evaluation of Eze. Yeah, possibly. But again, Arsenal would turn around and say, yeah, but we didn't do Madueke because we believe he's 52 million. We did Madueke because the installments were too easy. Saka will score more. Call me crazy. I won't call you crazy. I think Saka could explode. Well, I mean, he's already an unbelievable player, but in terms of his output, I think it could explode this year. You know, if you're looking now at Victor Gyökeres becomes a huge handful for the centre-backs. In an ideal world, we get someone on the left wing who drags players across. Hopefully. And that's what we need. You know, we need to be maximising what we get out of Saka. And as it stands, I don't think we've ever really done that. 37 GA in all comps. I'd take it. Eli, thank you very, very much for the $5 super chat. Do you think if we gave Mr. Marinakis a birthday post, he'd buy Jesus, Zinni, and Vieira? No, unfortunately not. There are probably things that we could tempt him with. Some underground, black market things that we could maybe tempt him with. But I don't think a birthday maybe a birthday cake. Maybe a giant Colin the Caterpillar. That could tempt him. I don't know. Just me, or it feels like Saka's lost a lot of pace since the injury? Just you, I think. He's never had like an insane top speed, but he's a strong runner. His burst is quick. And I don't think... I mean, to be fair, I also don't know if I can think of a time that I've seen him like absolute full pace sprint since the injury, which he probably does have a little bit of like in his head, opening up the legs. Still doesn't want to do, maybe. Saka to break the Premier League assist record next year. That Premier League... Erdegaard, maybe, by the way, with Gyökeres ahead of him. But that Premier League assist record is just like... It's cursed. It's cursed. How Salah didn't break it last year, I will never know. Same way that I could never understand how Ozil didn't break it that one year. What made you think Brighton will finish 5th? I know you were going for a rogue prediction, but that's very out there in my opinion. I think I'm looking at that battle for 5th, right? Because I think top 4 is locked off. Arsenal, Liverpool, City, Chelsea, whatever order you think it's going to be, I think top 4 is locked off. That 5th spot, if you think about who's competing for it now, I think teams like Bournemouth and even Forest are going to drop away from it because they've been decimated in the transfer window. Forest, not so much, but I think with their squad depth in Europe will be a struggle for them. And then I'm like, Spurs, Champions League, lack of depth. We saw what happened last year. They've already picked up 2 or 3 injuries this summer. I think they'll struggle. Villa, again, their squad isn't improving this summer. Will only get worse, if anything. Same with Newcastle United, by the way. I don't know if you've seen Newcastle United today. Joe Willock got some really bad injury in a friendly. They lost to the South Korean. No, well, I assume South Korean. The Korean All-Stars. They lost to the Korean All-Stars. Joe Willock got an awful injury that he had to be stretchered off for. Obviously, they're going for like Rodrygo Muniz as their only striker for next season. So I think they're going to drop off. And I'm just left in this little area where I think Brighton, I think they could kick on. I don't know. It's just a feeling. Maybe it'll be completely wrong, but I could just see them being there. I saw a TikTok that De Bruyne actually broke, but they didn't count a blatant assist. Yeah, but I bet we could do that for Henry if we wanted to. I reckon Newcastle 5th, Brighton 6th, Forest 7th, Villa 8th, Spurs 9th, Palace 10th. Maybe. Madueke to play against Villarreal. Yeah, it sounds like Madueke is going to play in the England games. The games that are in England, not for England. Arteta spoke about the squad today, so we'll get on to the injuries and stuff. Gabby and Calafiori. Big Gabby is out. Ricardo Calafiori, he said it will come too early for him. So with Calafiori, that makes it sound like it's... I mean, clearly that means that there was something, right? We had hoped that there was absolutely nothing with Calafiori. Clearly there was something if the game is going to come too early for him, but it makes it sound like it's nothing significant. Big Gabby, it just says he's out. He wasn't in training today. He was in and around the area wearing trainers. Don't know exactly what it is. It's very common to come back from several months out, which he did with that torn hamstring, and then to pick up another little minor strain or something here and there. That is normal. So hopefully it's nothing more significant than that, which I don't think it will be. And that's it. Mosquera and Timber were both in training again today. Yeah, sounds like Calafiori is just a precaution. And then on Gyökeres and whether he will play tomorrow, he said, we're going to check tonight how he is. We're going to discuss it with the medical team, but it is a possibility that he will play. Obviously, he took part in training today, scored a nice little top bins effort, scored a header. That's about all we saw of him, but it looked fun. Do you think Arteta could do a crazy and play Madueke at left back? No, I don't think so. I don't think he's great defensively, to be honest. Calafiori's scary, cannot stay fit anymore. No, Calafiori is a worry. There's no doubt about it. Calafiori is a concern. Fragile is the problem that we have with him, which is weird. Like, his final season at Bologna before we bought him, he was solid. Like, he was barely injured at all that season. And then since he's joined Arsenal, it's just been... I mean, in fairness, 2 of the 3 big ones last season were on international duty, which is unlucky. But yeah, it has been bad. Arteta spoke about Gyökeres as well. So he was asked, Gyökeres took the number 14 and doesn't seem concerned about that. And Arteta said, I used the word conviction. And that's the first thing I noticed when I spoke to him. Someone very determined, someone that was already really attached to the club, the way that he was speaking about the club, the history, and in this case, Thierry Henry and what the shirt represented. He straight away felt it, and when you feel it, you go for it. So you love to hear it. Victor Gyökeres is determined and has conviction and will not fall under the weight of number 14. which is very good. Ross, thank you very, very much for the $4.99. Sorry I'm late. I've been seeing a lot of links saying that Arsenal might be going for Rafa Leão over Eze. Not going to lie, I prefer Eze, though. Ross, first of all, thank you very, very much for the $4.99. I've not seen links to Leão. I'm going to be honest with you, right? This is like one of those things. I don't know one of those things. I didn't have an example to hand then. I shouldn't have gone down that road. But I keep seeing people saying, oh, we've been linked to Leão. Where have we been linked to Leão? And then talking about Leão. And then it's like almost just become a thing that we've been linked to Leão. But I haven't actually seen the links. So if anyone knows where to get the links, let me know. But I do agree with you, Ross, that I do prefer Eze. I think Eze is more consistent. He's Premier League proven. So yeah, I do prefer Eze. And Hans, thank you very, very much for 119 Norwegian kroner. Thank you very much. Who do you think we sell / loan and purchase before the window shuts? Keep on with your great work. Well, Hans, I appreciate that. I think we will sell Reece Nelson, or possibly like loan with an obligation. I think we will sell Fabio Vieira because really I don't see a place for him in the squad anymore. And that might be it. Oh, we'll sell Lukonga. We might even let Lukonga go for free. I don't really know what's going on with him. He's not played at all in pre-season. So clearly there's no plan for him to stay. And then I've got a feeling we end up keeping Zinchenko, to be honest. I do think we end up keeping him. And then in terms of purchases, I just see us buying Eze, hopefully, eventually. Maybe we sell Trossard as well, actually. There have been a few things on Trossard today. Can't remember who said it. But Arsenal will not stand in Trossard's way if he wants to leave. So if Trossard wants to leave, we're hearing that obviously Dortmund are interested, like we spoke about yesterday. Apparently a couple of teams in Italy might be interested in Trossard as well. Someone else said there are 2 offers on the table in the Premier League for Trossard. So there's definitely a lot of interest. And if one of those ends up being something that Trossard actively wants to pursue, the club will not stand in his way if there's a suitable offer. So, yeah, maybe we sell Trossard as well. And then I think Eze becomes the player that we probably end up buying, even though it might be tough. 68 million plus Martinelli for Yildiz? No. I think we could sell, if we were to sell Martinelli now, I think you could reasonably get 40 to 50 million for him. And I don't think Yildiz is a £100 million player. I really like Yildiz. I'd love for us to go in for him. I'd be looking at 50 to 60 mil for a Yildiz. Especially buying him from Serie A, buying him from Juve. Thoughts on Sunderland and Granit Xhaka joining them? Yeah, crazy, man. Crazy. I posted today on Twitter a picture of Ramsdale sat next to Granit Xhaka in 22-23. How crazy is it that at the end of 22-23, 2 years ago, imagine saying, oh yeah, in 2 years' time, Ramsdale's going to be at Newcastle, Xhaka's going to be at Sunderland, and they're going to be playing against each other in the Time Weird Derby. It's mad how that's gone. Oh, and by the way, in between that, Granit Xhaka's going to go invincible in the Bundesliga. It's crazy. Feel like West Ham might want Trossard? Maybe. They do need a left forward. They have to get someone to replace Kudus. So, possibly. Isak Saga's getting crazy. Rumayan is in England to talk in person. That's crazy. Is that crazy? I mean, it's a huge deal for the club. If Newcastle let Isak go, that's like a monumental change of plan this summer. I'm telling you, by the way, Newcastle are in big trouble. Big trouble. Their window has gone terribly. Every single, other than Alanga, every single first choice that they had, they failed to get. And not even in many cases just first choice. First choice, second choice, third choice. Now it sounds like Sesko's going to go to United. They're in for Rodrygo Muniz. You look at their midfield, by the way. They sold Longstaff. Willock now looks set to be out with a long-term injury. That leaves them with Bruno G, Joel Linton, Tonali, Lewis Miley. They have 4 central midfielders. And they play a 3 central midfielder formation where those central midfielders have to get through an unbelievable amount of work. and they're in the Champions League next season. And even beyond that, you then start looking at the attack. If they sell Isak, as it stands, their only striker is Osula. They've got to go and buy a new one. If that's Rodrygo Muniz, then the squad is objectively far worse than it was last season in attack. And then you look at their defence. Start looking at centre-back. Botman, really injury-prone. Went off against us after 15 minutes of coming on. Fabian Schär, getting old. 33, pushing 34. And then it's like Dan Burn and Lascelles. So, yeah. I think Newcastle are in big trouble. And I've heard a lot of things about how like the Saudis aren't that interested in Newcastle anymore. I think the Saudis would really prefer a club in London, which is interesting, actually. But yeah, it sounds like, because you look at even some of the other things like Neom, the Saudi team, being interested in Johan Visser when Johan Visser was Newcastle United's target. You'd think that none of the Saudi teams would even show any interest so that he could go to Newcastle. If they go and buy Darwin Nunez, if the Saudi teams go and buy Darwin Nunez for a massive fee that just helps Liverpool fund a bid for Isak, I don't know. It just feels like they don't care. I'm willing to bet Rodrygo stays put. We'll wait and see. I hope he doesn't. You might be right. You rather KSE or Saudi? It's such a difficult one. Like, morally, KSE. When do you think we're seriously going to go for Eze? I still think that it's going to hang on this Europa thing. I really do. I think it's something that could actually happen after the start of the season, which would be mad, and Palace definitely wouldn't want that to happen, and Arsenal wouldn't really want it to happen, but it could end up going that long. I think we signed Leao on deadline day. The thing is, I think if we were going to go for Leao, we could just do it now. Like, there's no reason for us not to go in for Leao now if that's what we want. Morally, an American owner. Well, I do understand that. Lewis Bowden's in shambles. I'm loving it. Yeah, he is. Every Newcastle content creator is just having a rough time right now. I can't believe it. Isak, how could you? How much is Leao? I don't really know. Like, I feel like we've not really heard a fee for Leao. Like, in my head, I think 50 to 60. Any more than that, it would be crazy. 14 days till the first game. Yeah. Well, it depends what you consider the first game. It's even less than that until the Community Shield. It's slightly more because it's we're Wednesday today. Our first game's 2 weeks on Sunday, so we're like 18 days away from our opening game. I seen Leao was 60 million euros. Okay, yeah, so it's like 50 something mil. That's not bad. Madueke for 52. Leao would definitely be 70. That's not really how it works. Please don't waste money on Leao. Yeah, I wouldn't personally. If the Europa determination comes after the season and it's negative, would you go for Eze in January? Yes, but it won't. It won't. The deadline for them, they came to a decision. Crystal Palace have then appealed that to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS. I believe the judgment for that is due to come out 6 days before the start of the season. But then you've got to bear in mind, the transfer window doesn't close until September the 1st. So I think the judgment is going to come out on like the 10th of August, I want to say. So there will be 20 days between the decision of that appeal for Palace and the end of the window. So there will be a 20-day period. There will be like a 5-day period where the release clause is still active, which is a bit nuts, but yeah. What about Gordon? Gunnerblog tweeted about him today. That's good. Yeah, well, this whole Gordon thing, It won't happen if they sell Isak. So basically, my understanding is last summer, Newcastle United effectively offered Gordon to a couple of clubs because they did need to raise money and they didn't want to have to sell Isak to do it. So one of the clubs that they offered him to was Liverpool, who said no. It wouldn't surprise me if going into this summer, there was still a feeling that that was still like an option, that they might look to sell Gordon again. And that's where maybe Arsenal's interest came about from. Because it's only been, if you think Gunnerblog is the Athletic as well, right? So it's come from the same place as David Ornstein's the only other one that's mentioned it quite a lot. But if they sell Isak, like, they don't need to sell Gordon and they won't sell Gordon. Hans, thank you very, very much for another 119 Norwegian kroner. Forgot to thank Mr. Marinakis for allowing me to donate you a bit of money. Do you know the situation with that Salford youngster? Did Liverpool hijack him? Hans, thank you very, very much. And again, thank you to Mr. Marinara. Yeah, Liverpool hijacked him. Liverpool hijacked him. We hijacked him originally. We had an agreement with Salford, a club-to-club agreement, but his name's Will Wright. He didn't want to move to London. So he wanted to stay. He's from that area of the world, and he wanted to stay there. So he waited in the hope that Liverpool would come back in. Liverpool came back in, and yeah, that is happening now. So as it stands, we've got Harriman and Ouse. We've got Andre Harriman and Ouse. And other than that, we are really light on young strikers, like academy strikers. Which, again, makes Chido Obi-Martin's decision to leave all the more ridiculous in terms of pathway and potential game time. Especially now you're hearing that United are about to sign a 22-year-old striker for a huge amount of money. Why are we buying Gordon? Is the player's diet's a problem? Is that I feel like that's a joke, but it's gone over my head. It's gone over my head. Chido went for the dosh. Chido went for his agent's dosh, is what I would say. But yeah, basically. Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay. Have you might have already made that joke. Now that rings a bell. I feel like that joke might have already been made previously as well. And it's just gone over my head again. There you go. There you go. I'm too slow. Chido needs to fire his consultants. Going to United was crazy work. Yep. Same with Aiden Haven. Liverpool didn't need the kid. Didn't want to leave the north. I bet if Man U or Man City came in, he would have gone there. Geographic location matters for him. Well, the Man U is the interesting one, right? Because he plays for Salford. Salford's obviously owned by, well, it was owned by a lot of the class of 92. Now I think it's only Gary Neville and maybe Scholes that are still involved. But ultimately, United would have made a huge amount of sense for him in terms of that connection from Salford to United. But either United didn't want to go. But again, United have got Chido, right? So it wouldn't have made as much sense for them. Jack, thank you very, very much for the £2 super chat. Crazy that Man United could finish above Newcastle. Yeah, what, like 11th and 12th? That's where it's not going to be 6th and 7th for those two, but 11th and 12th, maybe. Jack, thank you very much for the £2. And Joe the Bro has become a new member of the channel. Joe the Bro, thank you very, very much. As always, all of the membership money goes straight back into the channel, so I really, really do appreciate it. Welcome to the Rory Talks Football YouTube Membership Club. Nah, bro, 12th is booked for CPFC. Yeah, true. Palace is... in fairness, though, I was actually speaking to Ollie about this on Monday when the general discussion. He thinks actually for Palace to have a good run in Europe and then just stay in the Premier League would be a decent season, which could happen because they're not used to playing. They're not used to playing European football, and as it stands, they've only got 17 outfield players at the club, which is kind of crazy. I don't feel comfortable with another Joe in here. Please block him. I can't. We've got Joe the Bro. We've got Joe Franklin. Both are members. You're both members. You'll love to see it. 6-7 again. I still don't even know what it means every time. How does it even happen so often? Why is it such a common thing to say? I don't even know. Sesko waited for a special club and project. Yeah, that went badly. That went badly. Are you excited for FPL? I hope I can last it 3 weeks. Yeah, I still need to make the FPL. I still need to make the FPL league, in fairness. Anyway, look, this is going to be the end of the stream. Not a hugely busy one today, in fairness, in terms of new news. But I do appreciate you watching. As always, if I could ask you to like, subscribe if you're not already. And we will be live tomorrow. Remember, 12:15 over on Big Up for the watch along. If you want to continue the Arsenal conversation, the Discord is linked down below as well, so you can get involved with everyone else down there. And other than that, of course, the quiz question is coming up. But for those that don't want to stay and watch, have a good evening. I appreciate you joining, and I will catch you all on the watch along tomorrow. For those of you that are staying, of course, we will indeed have a quiz question. What should we go for? Well, there's a section here. Right, this could be fun. There's a section here called quotations. So I'm going to read out a quote, and you have to tell me who the quote is from. Obviously, it relates to Arsenal. So let's go for this one. When people think Arsenal had a bad season and we've had a good one, yet they still finish above us, it hurts. Who said that? When people think Arsenal had a bad season and we had a good one, yet they still finished above us, it hurts. Who said that? No one's got it yet. I'll give you a clue, right? They're not an Arsenal person. They're not an Arsenal person. Because they said when people think Arsenal had a bad season and we've had a good one, yet they still finish above us, it hurts. I've seen the correct answer. I'd give you a multiple choice, but... right, who got it first? Who got it first? There we go. There we go. It's Ryan Henderson. It was indeed Harry Kane. It was Harry Kane. Ryan Henderson was first. Second was Joe the Bro. There you go. New member. And he came second. Third was Camerooni. No, third was Nid, sorry. Third was Nid. Fourth was Camerooni. And fifth was Eli Penry. So there you go. Congratulations to Ryan Henderson. Congratulations. Very well done. The problem with, to be fair, the problem with that section, I'll tell you what the problem with that section is. A lot of the quotes come from very obvious people. And as soon as I say that we're doing that round, everyone was kind of putting those names in the chat because they're obvious. So we might not do too many of those ones. Or we might do the ones that specifically aren't Arsene Wenger quotes. But look, anyway, that is going to be it. I appreciate you all for joining. As always, like I said, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I will catch you on the watch along 12:15 tomorrow. The link's in the description for that one. But other than that, have a fantastic evening. And I'll catch you all tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.